Okay, today's demonstration is in 3 parts. First, I'm going to paint with a string. Then I'm going to briefly show how to make color reference swatches. Then I'm going to go into some color mixing. And then I'm going to use those mixtures to fill in my string painting. So here I go with the string paintings. I'm using a sheet of Bristol paper. And I'm going to use this liquid black acrylic paint. Some of you have done this before, and if you want to explore a different liquid paint color, that is totally fine. So I'm putting it in this tray. I'm using cotton cord because it'll absorb the paint best. And then usually I hold it down. I put a brush right on top of that string, and then I pull it through so that it gets saturated. Okay, and then this is the fun part. It's just kind of random. I'm starting at a point, and I can kind of manipulate that string to get different shapes. If I want to go straight, I'm going to hold this string more taut. Okay, the end needs more paint.
Laura, what kind of paper is that?
That's Bristol paper. You can use
Great.
mixed media. You could use watercolor. If you want to go to canvas, that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, I'm just still in play mode. I'm kind of going random here, but what I'm trying to do is cross those lines to get shapes. Because when this dries, then I'm going to fill in the shapes with the paint mixtures I'm going to make in a little while. And then I just keep going until it feels, the only way I can describe it is it feels about right. And I probably don't want my shapes to get much smaller than that. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit of a nightmare to fill in.
Laura, your lines have different qualities from dotted to rather almost thick. Is that intentional?
No, that's because some areas of the string have more paint than others. And especially when I first load it up, you know, when I first dip it, it's going to have more paint. And I just allow that to happen. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, thank you. So that seems like plenty to me. I'm going to let that dry. And you want to do this first so that probably stick it out in the sun. So then when you get to filling in your mixtures, it's ready to go. I've already made another one, kind of like a cooking show. I have another one that's already dry. Okay, so I'm putting that aside. And then this next part, you can just use a piece of drawing paper, nothing fancy. I'm going to do put my color gradations on here. I think before I get to that though, I'm going to show you. So some of you said, oh, I've already done that. That's fine. I'm just going to do a quick tutorial on this. And I think eventually what I'm going to do is I'll make a really nice video doing this whole thing, because once students start doing this, I'm sure they don't want to see me repeat it over and over again. Okay, so the swatches are for colors straight out of the tube. This is my color reference. So I would pick my paint, Anise Green, write that on the back. Sometimes I write the paint company name on the back too. Oh, and I meant to say, sorry. So it's the canvas paper, okay? And I just cut this up on a paper cutter. And I'm not sure what the measurement is on that, but you can kind of, it's up to you what size you want. If you want me to give you those sizes later, I can do that. So this is an Anise Green, and then I'm taking my angled palette knife and scraping the paint on there. It's pretty transparent, so sometimes I have a transparent look, and then I'll put a thicker, slightly more impasto paint on the upper half, just so I can see, oh, there's the difference in my paint quality. Okay. All right, so today, oh, I meant to show you the handout. So much stuff to show. So in the handout, I did tints, and it was tinting. So that's lightening a color with white. You can also do that with, I'm going to use this Manganese Blue, and I'm going to tint it with, lighten it with this Anise Green. So that's another way of going. Okay, now this is my darker color. So I'll need less of that than that. I'm going to slowly add my darker color to my lighter color. Okay, so the first thing I do is I put down some of each color. So at either end. And then I'm going to take a little bit Okay, that's pretty. I really like that. I had no idea what this was going to look like. And so what I do is I'm scooping, and then I kind of flip that angled palette knife over until I don't have any streaks in my paint. Okay, that's a really nice sort of citrusy green. Now, as I go along, I forgot to do this. You want to reserve some of your paint mixtures off to the side. As a matter of fact, I need to mix more for my painting. I'm going to save some of that paint off to the side to use in my string painting. And for time's sake, I think I'm just going to do maybe 3 mixtures, but obviously I could do as many gradations as I want to. Here, I'll bump this up a little bit more. Okay, and then I added a lot more of that manganese to just make it bring up my gradation much more quickly. Okay. All right, so I could keep going, and then when this is dry, what I like to do when it's dry, kind of cut an even line on there. And then I would put this in my color dictionary. And so I would cut this strip, and then on one end I write manganese and the other I write anise, and I can reference. So I can add that to my color dictionary. All right, now I'm going to go into painting. Okay, so I've got this structure, a string structure. And I can fill this in any way I want. I can do thin washes of paint. So here I'm going to add a little bit of water. And I don't really have any overall plan. Just filling in and seeing what I get. There would be slightly thicker paint. Both are somewhat transparent. Both of these paints are somewhat transparent to begin with. So I'm just putting this on straight since it's kind of transparent. I'm filling it in loosely. I can do, if I scratch in with the back of my brush, that's called sgraffito. Just trying to give you some different techniques here. That was a round brush. Now I'm going to go flat. I didn't add any water to this, so that's called dry brush. I'm going to get a brushier, scrubbier look. Now, since this paint is kind of transparent, I could paint right over that black line and knock it back a bit, but it's still transparent and I can see through. Let's see. I can scrape through with my angled palette knife if I want to lighten up an area. I can paint directly with my palette knife. Has a different, kind of a sharper edge. I could use a smaller brush. Who says they have to be solid shapes? I could paint in pattern if I want. So it's pretty open-ended. You've got your limited palette color mixtures, and then you have this whole, I'm going to call it a landscape or kind of a abstract tapestry that I can fill in solid color, pattern color, transparent color, thick paint, thin paint. And then I know what some of you are already thinking. At a certain point, you might say, well, I have this urge to add another color. So right now the urge, I would fill all this in, and then the urge would be some kind of red in here. And I'm feeling like I want it to be in these thinner lines, like not a lot of red, but just a little. And of course, I don't have any red with me, but I'm going to try this pink. But hold off. I think it's really good to start with limitations and then build from there. Okay, so like I add just a little bit. Red would have been better in my opinion, but this is what I got. Okay, so then just little accents of something here and there. Okay, so that, I think that's basically it. Let me come back. I'll try and finish this and then post it later.